What's up, buddy?
What's up?
I just hit the live button.
Ooh.
You're fine. But I just hit the live button. I was gonna speak on public school. You know,
What Trump's been doing?
what's Trump's been doing?
Made it, he apparently made it legal for, to wear anchor babies don't exist.
To where what doesn't exist?
Anchor babies.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
I have not heard about that. What do you think about that?
I think it's great.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Shoot. All the Mexican people been good to me. Most of them. But, I know people are going to say that's an ignorant statement because they're going to be like, oh, you just assume all immigrants are Mexicans, Billy. Okay, so, you know, it blows my mind. And maybe life gets in the way or whatever. And it's just something that you don't, or it's just something that you don't think about. But it still amazes me that the public school system exists in the way that it does. And what prompted me to talk about this is how the principal of a school got attacked up in Charlotte, up like in the nice area of town, like the uppity side of town in Charlotte, from a middle school. She got assaulted by a couple of parents, and then another school principal retired after getting put on administrative leave as well. Both of those principals, and so as I'm reading this, all these images of public school and what it means to people and how people perceive it. They just perceive public school as kind of like a fixture in your reality, as with a lot of things. It's just a fixture in your reality. It just exists. It's the public school. And so you live in a society, and there's the public school, and it's just there, and it's to teach the children how to have an excellent future, to prepare for their future, right? And so it's this ritual, it's this, mostly public school is this, it's the initial status rite of passage, kind of, in a way, right? It's where you build your social status, right? Ultimately, and having that paper, that diploma, puts you on par, puts you on normal level with everyone else. It says I'm a normal part of society. People will get offended at me because like their kids graduate and they're like, they put the cap and gown on, and they went through the whole ritual of graduating and receiving that diploma, and that's a status symbol in the society. So people might get offended if I say that. So what? But we all know that means that you become at base level socially relevant at that point, right? So you've at least achieved that level of social status that puts you on par with everyone else, and so you're normal. And so to some extent, and then there are subsequent phases and that we're all taught that we need to go through in order to remain socially relevant. Everything is about fitting in. Like, this is subtext. This is low key. This is beneath the surface, of all the chaos, right? This is the underscore, the underlying subtext message that permeates throughout, and then we put an exterior facade in front of the subtext that's truly happening. We put this exterior shell. I was trying to avoid the word shell. We put this exterior facade in front of the subtext of what really is happening, and nobody questions anything. Why does the public school exist? So that you can graduate, and therefore you can get a good job with one of the authorities in the society. The authorities told you how to get the paper. Now you enter into the next phase where you're either going to go to another school where there's authorities and they teach you how to get the other paper, or you don't and you look for a job with one of the authorities. So the subtext, what's the subtext of what a job is? A job, not the definition of a job, but the real subtext definition of what a job really means in society. A job is your position. The subtext definition is your moral and ethical task given to you by an authority figure that makes you a socially relevant person on par with what's socially acceptable and makes you a moral and ethical contributor to the society. That's what it is. That is what that is what the getting tongue tied here. That is what the subtext definition of what a job is. It's your moral duty that some authority figure gives you in the society. This is your moral, ethical duty and task, and it's the thing that gives you the money so that you can live your life, right? That's the other definition. It's this task that the authority figure gives you so that you can live your life. And so you go pick which authority figure that you want to go serve, and they will assign you your task, just like the teacher did in school. And then you go do it. And then there's the script, and then you live your life. Okay, that's the definition of what it is. That is a pure lie, okay? We don't say that outwardly. We don't use the words I use. I'm using words that reflect and denote the actual meaning of the things that we perceive. We're not formally set down and taught that there are no authorities. These companies, we use the word companies. These companies that hire you are not authorities that just exist out of the ether, that are just fixtures in your reality, and some mysterious, ambiguous authority placed them there, and then they have tasks called jobs for you to do, and those jobs exist for you to do when they assign them to you so that you can get paid and live your life. That is so far removed from reality. In fact, it's an actual fantasy. Literally an actual fantasy. I'm not using hyperbole. I'm not using simile. I'm not using metaphor. I'm using literal, in real time. I'm knocking on this wood here. In real time. Scratching this cloth here. In reality. In real waking reality. They're just businesses that men started. And why did those men start those businesses? Because they want freedom. And now, so the average person, the average person in general, all over the world, but especially in the United States, we've been told what the freedom is. It's been defined for us. So what is the freedom? The freedom is to clock in at that job, and then you go live your life. It pays you enough to live on, and then you go live your life afterwards. So it defines the freedom. It defines the freedom. And what does that entail? Well, you clock out and you're free to go get the 4 for $4 from Wendy's. You're free to order a pizza from Domino's or Pizza Hut. You're free to stop by the movies if you want and enjoy a movie. You're free to plan your vacation. You're free to stop by the 4-wheeler dealership or the dirt bike dealership and see how much it's going to cost. And you're free to sign the credit application to see if you can get that dirt bike or the 4-wheeler or the boat or the thing, the shiny bright object, or at a clothing store, you're free to apply for the credit card to get yourself a new wardrobe. You're free to just shop and consume, to buy the thing, the shiny thing. You're free. Like, that's the freedom, Billy. What are you talking about? So, to the owner of the company that you're going to work for, their sense of freedom is totally separate and different than the freedom that you're taught that is freedom. Like the formula you're taught that is freedom, the script that you're fed that is the freedom. All the things I described, all the leisure and entertainment, basically, that's the freedom that they describe. That you're free to go back to your house at night where you pay your mortgage. All that's the freedom. It's all defined for you, right? So the person that you work for, like if you work for some major corporation, you could be a corporation today. You watching this, you can literally become a corporation today. So when you talk about the corporations, like, you could go to your state website right now and file for an LLC, legal liability corporation, and then now you're a corporation. And after you make $25,000, you can pay your taxes. All that means is that when it's a corporation, all that means is how they pay taxes. That's all that's all a corporation is. All that means. LLC is a corporation. It's how you pay your taxes. So then, after you make $25,000, you can become an S corp. You switch the way you pay taxes around, and now you pay taxes as an S corp. Had to send a text message. So now you're going to pay taxes a different way because you made that amount of money, and well, I just got a text back, and that was some good feedback. So anyways, without going into it, ironically, I'd rather not talk about it. But anyways, still, it was good feedback. Sorry to leave you hanging there. But anyways, after a certain amount of time, you can. When you're an S corp, guess what? When you're an S corp, once you hit $25,000, make $25,000. I think it's like $25,000 a year. I have not arrived at S corp, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I do know this: once that you're an S corp, once you pay your taxes differently as an S corporation, then you have to hire yourself. What do I mean by that? It means that you have to become an employee on paper and give yourself a W-2, and now you're employed by your company. Your company. You are a corporation. So, that's what I mean, that when you are clocked in at any company, all they are is some man's business. In the same way you can go become a corporation today, that company you are working for is just a corporation started by someone just like you. You're just helping them build it. So the guy that started that company, his definition of freedom in the land of the free, home of the brave, is different than the average consumer, which thinks freedom is clock out from your job that you hate and go to the theater, plan your vacation, buy the four-wheeler, the boat, have the experience, the vacation in the mountains, weekend trip at the beach, pictures, Facebook, Instagram. You know, that's the average person. You've been fed that. That's not freedom. That's consumerism, and that's distraction. Not saying there's anything wrong with those things or that you can't enjoy those things. Believe me, you know, it's totally okay to enjoy yourself. But if you were taught reality, you would be taught that contentment and happiness comes from being actually free. So the owner of the company, he finds freedom in waking up and running his company. So he spends his days free. He doesn't have to. Don't believe anything all your coworkers will say, especially people that never even tried to start a business. They will sit there and say, "Oh, but they're really gonna stick you with those taxes. Oh, but imagine how much taxes he pays. Oh, ooh." And they're gonna say, "Man, you're gonna have to manage all those employees." Or, "But what if it fails? It's risky." Well, if you're an employee, you're working for the same person that has the company that's risky. "Yeah, Billy, but if his company fails, you could just, look for another job after that." Okay, fine, go work for other people. Be a consumer. Be a mindless addict consumer that hates their job and clocks in for other men. Now, if you like your job, fine. If you like what you do for work, and it brings you to a life and the lifestyle that you want, and you're willing to sacrifice the majority of your time and your mental bandwidth towards that, then that's okay. But for real, though, me being an asshole set aside, if you legitimately like what you do, then that's totally cool. But we all know the truth. Most people hate their job, don't like their jobs. And 40%, the last time I actually, Google's acting weird because ever since my son was born, I remember I've been studying this ever since the year he was born. I remember after the first year he was born, I started studying this, and I keep up with it about how many people are satisfied with their job, right? And 80% of people don't like their jobs or are disengaged. And the last time I looked up studies, it was 40% of people hate their job, something like that. So, anyways, yeah. So the guy that owns the company, he's not thinking to himself, "Well, let me clock in and do my job, run my business. Don't listen to what your coworkers say or people that never tried to start a business. Listen to the truth. Is it stressful? Sure. He's going to be stressed out. But he's doing what he wants. He's actually free. The freedom comes from waking up and doing what you want. And not having to answer to a boss. "Well, Billy, your customers are your boss. You have to answer to them." See, this is where your average naysayer always got some kind of rebuttal to try to take away from the truth teller, from someone that's speaking the truth as it is. They always try to frame it and word it in a way that takes away from the reality of the truth of it. Your boss is free. He may even be working more hours than you, because in his mind, he's not thinking about, oh, what time can I get off so I can go home and watch the new episode of blah, blah, blah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that business people don't watch their favorite TV shows. It's not my point. My point is their engagement is in doing what they want and having a sense of freedom and not having to answer to somebody. And sure, their customers, sure, they got customers and they have to cater to and tend to their customers. But let's just be real. If you're free and doing what you want, you aren't answering to a boss. You're not being told what to do. You don't have some kind of disgruntled, angry manager breathing down your back, you know, telling you what to do and taking it out on you, and you're not around, you know, mindless consumer and co-workers that just clock in and then they just go mindlessly consume shit after work. You know, when you do things for yourself, you're on a purpose. So the guy that owns the company, he has the freedom. Just shut up. Quit trying to make some kind of argument around it. There's no way that you're going to try to wordplay it and word salad it to the dude is free, so shut up, is what I'm saying. The guy that runs the company that you're clocked in for, he's free, so shut up. Quit trying to word it. Oh, but this, but the taxes, but yeah. Shut up. You know that he's free. He pulls into the parking lot. You're in the break room. You see a glimmery flash on the blinds in the break room, and it briefly flashes through into the break room. You look out the blinds. You see that Mercedes pulling up into the parking lot, and it's your boss. There's no stop trying to like be, oh, but he's driving that Mercedes because, oh, he just wants to show off, blah 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 blah. You know, shut up. He's free, you're not. Shut up. Okay? So, but he also needs you to be ignorant to how everything works. So, public schools, if you look up the history of public schools were made by people like him, business people. They were actually made by business people to train people to become their servants, to become their employees, to clock in for them, to help them build their business up. That's literally what public school is. When they first made public schools, it was those men that created the public school system to teach you to go to work for them. Got everybody duped into this shit. But don't tell the truth. Don't be like Billy and tell the truth. And, you know, you'll definitely become a social outcast. So, pander to your peers. Make sure they accept you. Make sure they accept you, and make sure that you're not saying anything that's going to make them not want to call you or help you out when you're in need. Make sure you play it safe and don't offend people, right?